Our fellow teacher, Janine Naus, is with us today to talk about 5 steps to moving past trauma. Janine is a grief and trauma relief specialist, certified life, spiritual, and energetic coach, author, and also a certified calm, accepting, resilient, and empathic trauma practitioner, or empathetic trauma practitioner. Welcome to AVAIYA, Janine.
Thank you so much. I'm Andy. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, so excited to have you here. And why don't we get started with hearing a little bit about your story? How did you get into the work that you do today?
Yeah, it's well, sure, as you had mentioned, I'm a grief and trauma relief specialist, and I chose to focus in this area because in my own personal experience with trauma, I really struggled to find the support I needed so desperately for me to be able to move forward and stop the suffering. And this led me on this quest to seek out mentors and healers and educate myself in order to find solutions. And after many years of research, I developed a proprietary holistic approach to healing so that others didn't have to continue to suffer the way I did. And that's why I developed the Stop Suffering Now system. It is my mission to help people who are ready to heal from physical, emotional, sexual, or catastrophic event trauma so that they can leave the past behind and be fully present with for themselves, and then and live in the moment and truly live their best lives going forward. So for me, it comes from a long history from early childhood through most of my adult life of experiencing all forms of trauma, from sexual, emotional, physical, and a catastrophic event in my own personal life that made great change. So just kind of helped me propel myself to what I'm doing today. Sometimes our most difficult challenges bring gifts inside of us as we move forward and grow through it. And, then we can offer that to help others. And that was something I always desired.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you for doing what you do today, Janine, and helping all these people. And thanks for sharing a little bit about your background and how you got to doing that. So let's talk a little bit about grief, right? Trauma can lead to obviously massive grief in our life in all different forms. What would you say is the first thing one would need to do when they're stuck in a place of grief?
Okay, so well, first I'll kind of address grief, and then I'll go into that first thing here. So, and as I shared, I handled all forms of trauma, and trauma is really a unique experience to each individual, and it can create a series of conditions that are based on your ability to integrate all of your emotions. And for survivors, this integration of emotions can really be overwhelming, and I found that people confuse trauma with grief, and it's because grief is what results from what happened. So an important point I like to share is that all grief does not have trauma, but all trauma has grief. And this is why I chose to kind of create this specialty in terms of working with grief and trauma. So going back to your question, I want to say that's a great question. So the first thing I'd really, the first thing somebody would want to do is to really remember your why. And because coping with trauma with a traumatic event is very difficult, and you're probably experiencing a wide range of emotions, which could include anger and frustration and sadness, and and all those really complicated emotions. And it's also that possible that you're not ready to address all of these sudden emotions that are coming at you like a whirlwind, but yet you still need to find a way to move forward because there needs to be a next step for you. So you still have to get out of bed, right? But during this devastating time, you may just want to hide because it might feel too difficult for you to feel these feelings. But inside, somewhere deep inside, you can't avoid these feelings forever. So you might feel like you're floating outside of your body above the world, and it's a world that you used to be and feel a part of. you take for example the COVID. Our whole world has shifted as a result of experiencing COVID. COVID is very traumatic. And then maybe you feel you're not a part of this world anymore. So anyway, it may be hard for you to see it now, but please know that you can move forward and you won't stay in this place forever. And to answer your question, one way to be able to move forward is to change the why questions that you've been asking yourself. So right now you're likely asking yourself a series of why questions that by design are going to keep you in a stuck and miserable place. And why questions like, why did this happen to me? And why can't I feel better? And why is this so painful? And why is it taking me so long to feel better? So instead, I'd like for you to think more about your bigger why, and that's your purpose, your reason. Why are you here on this earth and at this time? Because you are definitely here for a reason, and you are incredibly and uniquely important in everything and everybody in the world, because your every action affects a myriad of other people, places, and things, as your actions really have a ripple effect into the universe. So that's right. And then that's why you are so important in the universe. The universe cannot be the same without you and your actions. And so it's important for you to understand your why, your purpose. It's uniquely yours, and thinking about and identifying your bigger why will help motivate and inspire you to be able to take that next step that must be taken. So that's, hopefully that's a long answer. Yeah.
Thank
Hopefully
you. Yeah, it's a good thing to reflect on, because so many of us do, having had experienced traumas, particularly in childhood, right? Why did this happen? Why me? Why is it so horrible? All those things. But I love that, like, you're shifting that right into a different, right? Let's remember our why as a different grander plan, or a little bigger way of looking at that. So I think that's great. So let's talk about the next step. Like, what, after we remember our why, what is the next step in the journey?
Okay, so I suggest my clients is what I do is that they focus on just the bare minimum, so that they don't get overwhelmed. And so that's that next step. And everybody has a bare minimum that they need to do just to be able to get take the tiniest step forward. So let's say you don't have children, and maybe you can stay in bed and not shower and let a few days go by, right? But when you're a mom, that's going to be different, right? Because there's going to be a bare minimum that needs to be done, not just for yourself, but also for your kids to be loved and fed and clothed and educated. But even in that situation, it's okay if your sister comes over to drop off food, right? Or a neighbor, or can pick up the kids from the school, or, maybe for a few days for you. You can even order pizza every day for a week if you need to. Just stick to that bare minimum. And how you get what you need to get done doesn't really matter, but you do need to do the bare minimum. So you need to eat, and of course you have children. If you have the children, you also need to eat. They need to eat also. So my suggestion is to do just the very bare minimum in your own life, and that may, at some point in the beginning, may mean that you're doing very little. Maybe you get out of bed, brush your teeth, take a shower, and put on fresh and clean clothes, and just eat a little something. Put a little nutrition in your body, even if you go back to bed right after. If you need to take a few days off from work, then that's what you need to do. It's important to understand that this is a transition period in your life. You're not going to stay at that bare minimum stage forever, even though you may feel like that right now. And remember that soon enough, you'll be able to do more things than before, and you're going to have more energy to be able to commit to more. But for now, the real commitment you need to make is to yourself. And of course, if you're a parent, it's for your kids. And that means to say no to most things so that you can say yes to what's really important, the things that really matter. And right now, what really matters, what's important, is putting one foot in front of the other. So the bare minimum will help you do that, man. So just give yourself that break and really take a stand for yourself and refuse to do anything extra that takes away any of your energy so that you can focus on yourself and accept help from others. And if you don't offer, ask for the help that you need. And as you accomplish these small steps that are necessary in the now, you will begin to see that you can actually find a way through from where you are right now.
Mhm.
That's about all you need to do right now. That's a lot, and that's enough. Take some time to decide what you actually do need to do to get the bare minimum done, to be able to move forward right now, and find others that will help you take care of the rest. Delegate or let go of other things you think you need to do until you are ready to take on more.